Today at Let's Talk Marketplace, we celebrate our 100th episode of Let's Talk Marketplace.
We take this opportunity to tell you more about how we both met, how the Marketplace universe started, what we learned through working together, and what we are working on this year.
Thanks for listening to us over the last 3 years. We are so happy to have you. Let's Talk Marketplace.
The Marketplace podcast with Ingrid and Valerie Dichtel.
Right, so here we are. Let's Talk Marketplace welcomes to episode 100.
Woohoo!
Can't believe it, really. So, Valerie, 100 chats about marketplace business.
Did
you think we'd ever come this far? I mean, we started some 3 years ago or something. Did you think episode 100 was in the books?
Well, to be very honest, I think it's like really a great success what we did. I also told my boyfriend, I was like, we have tomorrow the 100th episode. He was like, what? I was like, yeah, 100 times, right? So
yeah.
I think we could call us already podcast experts.
I think so, actually, because there's statistics, saying that I think 80% of podcasts die before episode 5. So, yeah.
Okay,
so we're veterans, not even experts.
Yeah, this is what we already worked. But then there's also a saying, if you do something 100 hours or something, then you're already 100 hours, 100 days, something like that.
Something like 100.
Then you're like really an expert in this topic, and then you're like over the average. So
yeah. Well, on the one hand, yes, you are. But on the other hand, I think there's still so much to discover and to unpack and to learn in this area. Because there's, I think we can, I'm always like wondering what else could we do? What could you do differently? What could you do better? So, still stuff
I agree. And as at the same time, there are always things which are changing, especially in podcast business as well. I mean, we all know we're in the online business, right? There is like so much changing podcast business as well. There are so many updates, and if we think how we started and what have we done when we started, I think we improved a lot, also in our own skills. But I think that's also a thing which we can talk about later, right?
Yeah, I think we should use this 100th episode to do a bit of a recap, what we did over the last 3 years in the podcast, what we did since a year with our marketplace universe together, and maybe give people a bit of an update on where we stand at the moment and where we're going with the podcast and with the company.
Yeah, and I would also love to talk with you about, again, but this time in English, because I think we already talked about how we met each other, how did this happen, I would also love to talk with you about our start and how it evolved. And I also want to know what were your learnings, because to be very honest, Ingrid is more the podcast queen of us, definitely. And and what we're doing now.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I guess let's start into this with a twist on our usual traditional 3 questions, huh?
Ooh.
So let's think back over the last 3 years, and who was your favorite podcast guest?
Oof.
There were lots of them.
Oh, yeah.
Not 100, but I think some round about 90 or something.
I would say, but we had, because we had sometimes twice. Well, we had like actually, I think just 3 people twice in the podcast, right? Something.
Very few,
3,
actually.
4 maximum.
Yeah.
I would say, to be very honest, one of my favorite guests is Ed Sanders, which we talked about the Chinese podcast, Chinese marketplace business. So Ed was my discovery on the score in Zurich last year, and I'm really glad that we did this with him. And I also got the feedback actually last week in Berlin. It was like, these were really good episodes. And I was like, thank you.
They were, because Ed has this huge knowledge about the Chinese market. There's quite unmatched inside Europe, I think. And he took a very deep dive into Temu with us and into Shein, and really made us understand these business models that are coming over. So and apart from that, he's just the nicest person and so knowledgeable and humble and funny, and it was just really great to have him on the show. That's true. Yeah.
So what was your favorite podcast guest?
Well, that's Malte. Malte Karstan. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just so much fun with him always. And I from a journalistic point of view, it irks me that he always knows more about the business than I do. It's like always I try to catch him out, like, did you hear this? And he's like, yeah, 2 weeks ago. Like, come on. Go away. Yeah. So it's always great to have a chat with him because he's so deep into the marketplace business, especially into the Amazon business, of course. And he's just that, in Germany you say Berliner Schnauze, like this very
really open, honest,
direct and so dry. So this is something I really enjoy.
That's true.
It's always fun.
Yeah, that's true. So what was the greatest podcast fuck up for you?
Well, I think there's several contenders for that crowd.
What?
Well, I always love to think back to our very first recording when I forgot to put in the recording tapes, you know.
No, but the first episode, we did 3 recordings, right?
Yeah, we did 3 recordings.
We were not happy about.
Yeah. And then we said, okay, let's do it again. And then we did it again, and we were really happy. And then I realized that the recording hadn't worked. And then we did it a third time.
Yeah. I would also count that in. Yeah.
But this is now more anecdotal, I think. But if you talk about like honest fuck ups, I would say moving to Spotify for podcasters. Actually,
exactly the same fuck ups. So
I can't recommend that. Not at all. I mean, it's easy to use. I grant them that. It's very easy to use. You don't have to know anything about podcasting or about audio techniques or distributing your RSS feed, whatever, because the system does it for you. But if you want to get your analytics, it's such a black box. It's really hard to get the information out. And it's also really hard sometimes to connect it with different platforms. You don't get good feedback if the connection has not worked or not. Yeah. And very often if I send out my RSS feed now, sometimes it's distributed to the platforms really quickly and sometimes it isn't, and I don't know why. So, I can't recommend that.
Yeah. Maybe to give you more insights about that, we originally started the podcast with Ingrid's former employee, with Podigy as the employee, the employer. Excuse me, the employer, but they used Podigy to spread and the podcast. And this tool is what you upload, and then it's going online on Spotify, and ideally also on Apple and also on YouTube. Spotify for podcasters is for free. It's not the best choice. But to be very honest, we changed the recording tool to Riverside, and this one is a really good one.
That was a good choice, that was definitely a very good choice. So you live and learn, I guess, and as soon as I get around to it, I think we will be thinking about changing the hoster once again, but this is really not that easy. It's a bit like changing the hoster of your website. It's not fun.
No.
Yeah, but anyway. Right. So as we always close these 3 questions with a fun fact, do you have a funny podcast moment that you remember?
Funny podcast moment.
Not an easy one, is it? Because we do have a lot of fun in many episodes, but it's always like it comes from the conversation. I always like it if the podcast guest, when they talk about a fun moment, the fun fact, and sometimes it's very surprising, and you just sit there like open mouth and like, oh, really? Is that okay? I would have never pinned you down like this. And it's always nice to learn more about the personal side of your guests with this.
Yes.
So, but
I would
can't
say
really pin it
also.
down.
Yeah. Yeah. Because when I'm not able to answer this question properly, then I think like it wasn't fun, but that's not true. But it's more like there was no peak, like this one thing which was like so funny. Because I really enjoy doing the podcasts most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time. That's right. Yeah.
But what I really enjoy is that we like the two of us, we are always in line with our gut feeling, or like also in what do we see as a good episode or not so good, or yeah. We had one episode we recorded with a guest, and there was like so much sales in it that we didn't send it. And we recorded another one. And we were both totally aligned. So that's what I really enjoy doing podcasting with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That common ground.
Yeah. Okay. So I think to the other questions, which I wrote, will come later.
Okay.
So what we will talk about today.
Well, as I said, I think it's a good idea if we use this Jubilee episode, the 3-year podcast Jubilee episode, because it nearly coincides with our about first year of working together, because we started, it's really hard to pin that down, because we talked about working together over the last month of 2023, and then we started in 2024, and it was sometimes it was a gradual process more than fixed date and I think that started round about end of January, beginning of February.
That's true. Yeah.
That we worked like in an unofficial way together, and then still figuring out how we're going to do that, and how we're going to, what kind of company we're going to found together and stuff like that. But I think that's where we started. And so I think we can take this joint Jubilee and just talk about what we've been doing and why we're doing it, and where we're heading this year in our now second year.
And to be honest, this is also the first year we are earning money with our podcast. And before we did it, as a volunteer, I would say.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Right. I guess let's do that today. Maybe after talking about earning money, a very short ad break here.
If you are selling on Amazon or Bull, you know that running ad campaigns can be complex, but also highly rewarding. The right strategy can boost your visibility and increase conversions.
Both platforms offer similar campaign structures, but there is a key difference. On Amazon, for example, a product can appear in both sponsored and organic search results. But on Bull, once you win the sponsored spot, you lose your organic ranking. So that's why sellers with strong organic visibility sometimes opt out of advertising on Bull.
But there's the good news. Automation can make campaign management much easier with tools like Channable. You can scale campaigns for thousands of products, automate keyword selection, and optimize bidding strategies effortlessly.
If you'd like to know more about this, then you can read our how-to article on Marketplace Universe website, where we dive deeply into the differences between campaign management on Amazon and on Bull. Or you listen into our episode 102 in mid-March. There we are joined by Thomas Philip Bashar, product manager at Channable, and together with him we will give you a detailed account of the race between Amazon and Bull in the Netherlands and who's going to win in that very interesting market. So make sure to tune in. Okay, right. Let's talk about Marketplace Universe. Okay.
So what happened with the news, Ingrid?
Oh, the news. Well, the news. Well, first it's our Jubilee episode, so things are a bit different than they are normally. But in general, as we are now going into season 2 of our podcast, I thought like 100 episode is a good point to change that to season 2. And I thought about restructuring a bit of our podcast, because so far, if you're an avid listener, you know that so far we always discussed the latest news of the last week a little bit inside the episode, and then went over to our main topic of the episode and talked about that. And I felt that this is neither here nor there, because we never have enough time to really dive deep into the news, really talk about the implications of what has happened that week and what that means for you as a marketplace seller or a brand using a marketplace. And because I don't want to take too much time away from the main topic. But on the other hand, we always spend a bit of time on the news. And so sometimes we have very long episodes, which is not something that many people like that much, what I realized. Or we have to take time away from the main topic, which is also a bummer. So I thought, okay, let's try a restructuring. And I don't want to get rid of the news completely, because I got very good feedback from our listeners that they really like it, that they can listen to the news with us, not just read about them in a newsletter. So I decided, let's do it like this. We're going to have one dedicated news episode per month, always in the beginning of a month. The next episode that coming up, the 101, is going to be the first news episode, and there we will talk about the most important stuff that happened in the marketplace landscape in February, and really dive deep into all the implications of those things that have now turned up, that new things that have happened. And in the other episodes of the month, we will keep to the main topic and just dive deep into that. So no news today, but more news next episode.
Okay, and all a bit shorter, right?
And all a bit shorter, yes, because this is something that I realized that this is something that actually Spotify provides you with. You can see how long people listen to your podcast and when they drop out. And you can see that it seems to be the typical time that you need to get to your working place, for example, or the time that you need to do your house clean while listening to a podcast seems to be about 30 to 40 minutes. And afterwards, people do tend to drop out. And as I say, sometimes we are just in the middle of the discussion of our main topic at that point. And there's still interesting stuff coming up later on. And it would be a shame if you can't listen to that because your train has arrived at the station that you need to get off, for example. So we will keep to a bit shorter timing.
Nice.
Yeah,
okay.
So that's
I'm really interested
idea.
and excited to see how this change will also, give other results, better results, and make it easier for you to listen and to integrate it in your daily business.
Yeah. Let us know what you think about that, please.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
So I would say let's first do a step back. I would say 4 years ago. I remember when I was...
Is that really 4 years ago?
Because 4 years ago, I was on Madeira in March. It was in the middle of COVID times. And I tried already on LinkedIn to write you. Because what I did when I was self-employed back then, which I still am, I tried to contact journalists and also program managers of conferences if I can speak on their conference or get an interview or whatsoever, because I tried to get more visibility. And I always use this female card in the sense of like, hey, I have like this interesting topic of marketplace business in Germany or Europe. And I'm a woman. What about like a talk together? Because on your stage are so many men. I mean, back then, you were.
This was valid by the moment.
It was. Yeah. And then I tried to write you on LinkedIn, and then I think 1 month later, I got a message from you. Or still a call. I think we called. And then you were like, hey, let's do an interview together. That sounds quite interesting. So this interview is also on video. We did a video recording when I was back then.
Yes, we did. That's true. I actually don't know if it's still available, because that was for my old employer, the Internet World Business, German trade fair magazine for the e-commerce industry. And that since then has closed down. It closed down in end of 2023. Part of it was integrated into the platform of VNV, which is a different magazine, but not all content was taken over. I'm really not sure if that one is still available. But anyway, which would have been a shame because it was a nice conversation. And
Yes,
I think there we already realized that we have an easy way to talk together because we didn't know each other much. We had talked before a little bit, just on the phone, and then I invited you to the studio, and I think we instantly hit it off.
Yeah, that's true.
There was a chemistry of a sorts, and it was fun, and it was like really easy.
And I was in summer or something because I was like traveling while COVID as far away as possible. And I came back in June, I think, July. Yeah. And then we did this recording in summer, and we kept in contact.
Yeah,
and then
I invited you to my stage as well.
And my team came to me and said, like, Valerie, you should do a podcast. And I was like, and I was on no vacation. And then people came to me and I asked them about their podcasting. And they were like, yeah, well, that's really quite a lot of work. You need a recording. You need to write a concept, invite the guests. Okay, I can deal with that. But then you need to download it, cut it. You need to write show notes. You need to write show notes. You need to write a LinkedIn post. You need to have a picture, jingles, whatever. And then you need to upload it. And I was like, I don't want to do this.
Lots of work.
And then I think like 4 weeks afterwards, you came to me and said like, hey, Valerie, let's do a podcast together. And I was like, wait, what? And he said like, and we do all the important, like we do all the work.
Yeah, you just have to show up and talk.
And I think that was the pitch. That's what I'm really good in. Show up and talk.
Yeah.
Luckily, you're still writing the concepts because otherwise we would never have one.
Well, to be honest, if you just talk like this, we hardly need any. But yeah. Yeah, but that's actually how it started, yeah. And in the beginning, we just did it like every 2 weeks, and in German. We hit it off quite nicely. It was fun. We started inviting guests as well, and so we did that for
2 years.
Nearly 2 years together. And then when I decided to leave my company and we decided to do something together, we said, okay, we need to get our podcast. We need to take that over to our own hosting and take care of it ourselves. And we found an agreement with my further employer about that and how we're going to do that. And then we took it over, and now it's ours.
Yeah,
it's more than a year now.
Yeah,
and that came together, and that brings me to Marketplace Universe actually. So when we were both at a crossroads, I think sometime in the middle of 2023, we again came together and talked about, okay, I mean, you're looking for new ways, and I'm looking for new ways, and maybe there's a way together.
Yeah, and actually we were at the concert when we did this. We went private.
As just friends, visiting a concert in Munich. And then I think we didn't hear that much from the concert because we were sitting together and talking about what we're going to do.
Yeah. Well, how do you want it? Like, I want to connect to people. Yeah, me too. Everyone thinks already we're working together. So
we both, over the last years, built an audience within the marketplace business. You were more in an international way, and I'm more in the DACH region. Yeah. And we both did it in a similar way, which is we provided our audience with input, with news, with connection, with insights on how to better sell on marketplaces, how to better use the marketplace platforms for your own business. And this is why people started following us on LinkedIn, and especially there. And this was like our basis. So we had these people that trusted us to not tell them bullshit, and to knew that if we recommended something, then we were actually quite sure that this was a good recommendation.
Yeah.
And so we had this trust, we had these followers, and then we thought, okay, this is something that we can build on. Yeah? We can find new ways to inform this audience. We can turn ourselves in a publisher of sorts with our own podcast, our own newsletter, the news that we have in the marketplace business, our marketplace quadrants, of course, which are really helpful to the community. And so we built this whole universe of offers to inform and connect people.
And so how do we earn money, or what do we do now? Because what is the marketplace universe? Actually, what we offer is we offer our brand awareness and trust to marketplaces and marketplace service partners. And you can buy, for example, a media kit and work with us together for 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months. And we do a podcast episode with you, or podcast ads you are listening to sometimes, and before and afterwards. We do webinars for you. We can do our Marketplace Universe Connect events where you could be a sponsor for it. We write LinkedIn posts almost every weekday from both of our profiles. We created this newsletter, which is really amazing. And what else? We have blog posts, our website. Yeah, so there are many, many things. And this is like different packages in terms of like timing. And this is what you can buy. So this is actually right now the main offer we have. And there's something also we are planning for the future, obviously.
Let's talk about that in a minute, because I just have to add here that the no bullshit policy always applies.
That's quite important.
That's very important to us because, as I said, our main asset is the trust of our community. So we always make sure that whatever we tell them about members of the marketplace landscape is to our best abilities true and helpful. So this is why if we have a sponsor on the podcast, for example, they still get the hard questions. Talking about interesting content, and because you mentioned webinars before, should we make a very short diversion into the topic of webinars? Because we have several coming up that are really interesting, and the next one is on March 6th, I think. And this one is about how people shop on marketplaces. And this is something, I guess, that is very interesting to many of you, because where does the shopping journey begin? What factors influence the decision of shoppers? This is something that you all need to know. For example, did you know that 47% of shoppers now start their product search directly on marketplaces, completely bypassing search engines? Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, well, and we are, and what I mean with we are, me, myself, and Jurit, as a CEO from Channel Engine, we are talking about those questions. We are answering those questions in the webinar, which is taking place on the 6th of March at 4 p.m. CET, so 4 p.m. Berlin time. And if you listen to this and it's after 6 p.m., 6th of March. I'm sorry. You can also watch the recording and find it on our website. And I'm really excited to talk with you about the different category-specific behaviors, about practical strategies we will share. And we will support you to thrive on online marketplaces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, you and Jurit were looking into a study that Channel Engine did. It's called How Marketplace Shoppers Buy on in 2025. Key insights, very interesting study with very interesting findings, especially, as you just said, category specific, which is something that you hardly find in most marketplace studies. So really good to look into that. So register now, it's free. Don't miss the chance to gain valuable insights into the future of e-commerce, and you'll find the registration link in the show notes. We look forward to seeing you there. As I promised that we will keep to the time, I have to make a bit of haste
The
here.
bad timekeeper.
Yes. So you touched upon that. We have plans apart from what we just talked about for the marketplace universe for this year. And that goes back to connecting our audience with each other. Do you want to tell a bit more about that?
Yeah, it goes, it's actually not like 100% fixed yet, but what we can say is we want to bring you together again. And what I mean with you is more the brands, sellers, manufacturers with each other on the same level. Because what I realized when I was a marketplace manager myself and also in the marketplace uni, that even though you're working for a big company, then you're often pretty alone in the marketplace business. Fighting with maybe your colleagues, they're not seeing what you're doing there. You're just like creating returns. What I heard so often, and we want to create a safe space where you are able to exchange with other ones, called a community, and we are working on this. We cannot say when it will be exactly. It will be definitely starting this year, I would say in the first half year. And we're quite excited to share it with you as soon as we are ready.
Yes, that's still working on that.
Yeah. Because what I think we also learned is we are underestimating how much time we need, and we really want to do it good.
Yeah, and I think what we also learned in the first year, because it was a crazy first year. Yeah, we did lots of things in very short time.
Yeah.
And we do have some freelancers in our team that help us out with writing and graphic designs and stuff. And events also. So a very great group of people that is helping us. But still, the main thing is on our shoulders, yours and mine. And we had quite crazy pace in the first year. And I think what we learned is that we do have to focus a bit more. We have to really think like this is the main goal for the next month, and this is what we're going to focus on, and not get sidetracked and distracted by other ideas, because we're full of ideas here.
Or the operational business.
Or the operational business, of course, because that is always nipping at your toes all the time.
And talking about us, we are almost 10 people. So just to give you a sense of, we are all working from remote, all home office, spread it all over Europe. Yeah. And that's also, I think, a quite interesting thing, because everyone thinks like, you're doing this alone. No, that's impossible.
That would be really impossible. No, we're not. But still, I mean, there's still lots for the two of us to do. And for this year, I think we just said, okay, we want to do this community properly. Yeah. We really need to take some time designing it and working on the concept.
So what would you say if you say like summary or what is your summary on that one?
Like on everything, on the first year. I do it again. I would, because I mean that was a crazy ride. But it's fun to have your own company, even if the bureaucracy is killing you. But still, it's still fun, because you have these ideas, and if you want to put them into action, that's down to you. And of course, you have to think about monetizing it and stuff like that, and how much will you get out from all the work you put in. But still, it's such a creative process, and I learned so many things over the last years, which is something that I was craving, because I have been a journalist for 15 years or nearly 20 years. I know how to do that, I've been through everything that you can do in this area, and I was craving for new things to learn, and craving to get out of my comfort zone and do other stuff and learn things and be thrown into the cold water and see if I can swim. And
you swim.
So that swim. Yeah, that was really great to have that. And this is still happening, of course, because there's so many things, new things and new challenges coming up. And I really enjoy that.
To be honest, I really enjoy also working with you together and not being alone. anymore.
Absolutely, yeah. I wouldn't do it alone.
Yeah. And
I would do it again, but not alone.
I think there are mainly two learnings. Where focus goes, energy flows.
Yeah.
It is as simple and as difficult as that. And the second one is, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no.
Yeah.
And I think this is something we need to write, like really, really important. Because sometimes we think, oh, that's a good idea, let's try it out. And then, but if one of us, or if let's work with this customer, and then the one is like, nah, I don't know. The gut feeling is like,
if I have a bad feeling, that this is really a learning that I had over the last year.
Then we should do it like we should.
There's something off, then there is something off.
Yes.
Yeah? Believe your own gut. And this is what took me a while, because I get these feelings, but I'm a very heady person. Both. And so I sometimes always get this, it's just a feeling. It's not, there's not based on facts. But sooner or later, it turns out that it was correct. So this is something that I really learned. Yeah. So I guess we will do it. We will continue doing it. We will continue working on the Marketplace universe. And thank you to all of you for listening to us, for following us, for every comment you write, for every nice word you have for us on our events. This is really, really helpful for us. And it's just great to know that we are creating something of value, that helps you with your business. This is really important to me, to know that what we are doing is helpful. Yeah, to have your support. Last week on stage, it was amazing. Someone at a networking breakfast came to me and was like, I listened to your podcast, I love it, thank you so much. And I was like, I have no idea who you are, but it's really, really nice to hear. Or every time someone comes up and I use your quadrants all the time in our Marketplace meetings. Thanks. So all the work that has put in there is really helpful.
So you give our work a face, and that's really important if you work so much online.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
So thank you.
Thank you. And then I hope you will be with us next week when we start into our season 2 of Let's Talk Marketplace. As I said, with our first dedicated monthly news episode. There was lots of to unpack in February. Lots of things happening. Yeah. And then in 2 weeks' time, tune in again and listen to us talk about the Dutch market. Also a very interesting topic. And thanks for being with us.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You listen to Let's Talk Marketplace,
the Marketplace podcast with Ingrid Lommer and Valerie Dichtel.